Hi, everyone, and welcome to Braselton, Georgia, and the always intimidating Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for Round 8, the season finale of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Performa Elite Texas Graphics, right here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and as always, we've got the inimitable Larry McLeod joining me in the announce booth with Alex Simpson and Dennis Branch manning the controls. And tonight, our GT4 and TCR combatants hope to take those last podiums and snare those last remaining points, all to be named Season 2 champions. For round 7 of our sports car series, drivers found themselves in the Finger Lakes region of New York at Watkins Glen, and there were definitely a few surprises, Larry. But tonight's the finale, and while there may be some clarity at the top of the heap in both GT4 and TCR, there are a lot of folks still in very tight points battles. And I think Road Atlanta, it's the perfect venue to see that play out.
Absolutely. This is a great track. It's a legendary North American track. Everybody knows Road Atlanta, and certainly when you're on a sim like this, everybody has it and races it all the time. So it kind of takes out that familiarity advantage that maybe some drivers might have. But everybody's got to master this place, and it is certainly one of the more challenging tracks in North America with, turns 3 and 5 as you come in and out of the S's, and getting that all-important run onto the back straight really makes for some tight racing, and having some tight point battles tonight is going to make it pretty exciting for us.
Yeah, it certainly should. And so, Larry, I know we've got a couple guests that are going to be joining us before we go racing in just a couple of minutes for this 60-minute battle to round out the Sports Car Series season. So let's jump right into our track guide of Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta with Kevin Ford.
Welcome, everyone, to Road Atlanta, located here in Braselton, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. Beautiful day here for your track guide as we get ready to head around this 2.5-mile road course. 12 corners here as we head across the stripe and head down the front straightaway here. Very fast entry into turn 1. This is a tricky one as you really have a blind entry here, trying to find that apex and get yourself set up to come up the hill here into a very treacherous turns 2 and 3. Back to the left and then right back to the right again, taking a little bit of curb here. We're going to head back to the left and head down into the famous S's here at Road Atlanta. Very fast section. Got to be real careful through this area here. Want to place that car just right as when you enter up into turn 5 here, get back to throttle, use up every bit of that exit to get as much speed as we can heading down this next straightaway here towards turn 6. Want to get down to the apex here, a little short shoot up to 7. This is a double right-hander. This will lead us out onto the big, long backstretch here at Road Atlanta, and this is where you really want to get a good launch here. Maximize that speed down the straightaway. This is certainly one of the biggest overtaking opportunities here as we come around that slight left of turn 8. This will take us down to a slight right of turn 9. Not a real straight straightaway, if you will, but it is a long one and a very fast one. Here we go, down into a heavy brake zone of turns 10A and 10B. Back to the right for B, and then up the hill underneath the famous bridge here, and then we'll head back down this very fast drop-off that takes you down to the front straightaway here and across the stripe. There you go. There's your track guide for beautiful Road Atlanta. Thank you for being with us.
And there we go. That is a lap of Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Thanks once again to Kevin Ford for that. And Larry, what we're going to do now, we're going to bring in one of our TCR drivers. As a matter of fact, he is currently leading the points here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series in TCR. It's Eric Violet, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about strategy here tonight at Michelin Raceway.
All right. Bring Eric up on in here. All right, we've got Eric Violet joining us. He's one of our TCR drivers. And in fact, he's the championship leader right now in the TCR class. Good evening, Eric. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great.
So as we go into this round, and you're coming in with a good, decent points lead, you're coming off a string of wins over the last number of races, going back to the Glen, Mid-Ohio, and even a couple before that. So you're on a pretty good run. What kind of strategy do you have tonight, whether it's a car setup or just a strategy of, how do you want the race to play out if you had your choice?
Well, the strategy isn't really, the setup really isn't a strategy because I share that in the track guides and the DAP sessions. So anybody who wants what I'm running tonight, it's up on YouTube. But as far as the other strategy is, the reason I'm able to talk to you right now is because for the afternoon races, track's cooling down, and a track like this, it's worth Sometimes a few hundredths, and maybe even a couple tenths sometimes, if depending on how much the temperature drops here. So got some time to hang out with you guys for a little bit, see what other guys are running, and
Yeah, that's interesting that in the sim, even they've made it realistic enough so the temperatures will change throughout the session. And I'm sure, so, people watching realizing that the TCR cars are, in fact, a front drive. Uh, about how many laps can you make it before you start feeling that overheating, or in a qualifying session, is it even your out lap you start to overheat?
you can burn them up you don't really feel it, I don't think, for the first actually couple laps, because it actually takes a while for these to heat up. It's getting the brakes hot, getting the rears hot. The fronts don't come in for about maybe a lap or two, so it's usually the third or fourth lap that you're really going to get that. But I mean, usually, typically, if you look at our fast times, like during practice and things, it's usually a little later. It's sometimes 5 to like 7 laps sometimes. Sorry for the pause earlier. They were calling green flag, so
Had to listen
I've,
to the race control. It's a good thing to listen into him just in case.
yeah. So I was off telling Kevin too. I said, I'll probably get going here in a few minutes. But if no one else is on track and you want to take a ride with me, you guys can keep me on the channel, and I'll run around with you guys, and you guys can bug me unless I'm on a hot one.
Well, yeah, that's right. The other thing I was going to ask, though, is you're talking about the temperature cooling off to try and get those ideal conditions, and knowing that qualifying is really just a 4-lap sprint. If the tires don't start to really get too bad until maybe lap 6 or 7 or so, do you change your setup to try and get heat faster, or to change the balance a little bit, knowing the tires may still be kind of coming up to temp as you go?
It's not so much about the tires so much because I'm usually running not that much camber, just because I'm trying to take in tires tonight. We'll see how things go, but chances are I'm not taking tires. So I'm not running that much camber, but I've noticed when I do run more camber, even in qualifying, the turning is awesome. It's just a drive off. You're just sitting up on the inside of those tires, and it's just real easy to spin them. So I actually keep my quali set pretty close to my race set. Just drop fuel, adjust ride heights. Sometimes it can be a little tail happy. You don't have the weight, and kind of sitting up high like that, it'll kind of roll over on you a little bit. So it can get a little sketchy sometimes, but no, it's not a whole lot of changes usually for my quali sets.
Yeah, that's and that's interesting. Some drivers are like that as well. They want something consistent just to offset maybe the fuel load and things, able to go for that real gun at lap. So tonight, good luck. It's probably going to be you and a couple of teammates there banging it out. You guys always seem to enjoy it, and looking forward to watching it. So go grab your qualifying laps, and we'll see how you end up.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
All right, that was Eric Violet, driver of the number 89 D2D E-Racing Audi RS3, our current points leader here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, and he's going to be going out on track. And yeah, Larry, maybe, I guess we already dropped him out as, hey, maybe we should have stayed on board and gave him a little bit of encouragement as he was out there. Maybe don't know whether he needs it or not, but we do have our drivers now out on track for their 15-minute lone qualifying sessions. Essentially, each driver, when they go out on course, they will see the track without any other drivers out there. They'll have 4 laps in order to set a fast lap here at Michelin Raceway, as we're on board right now with Brandon Whitworth in the number 42 D2D E-Racing machine. Eric Violet's teammate there, as he goes and starts his first flying lap. Actually, he just got his first flying lap in the books at a 1:31.228. Now, if you look at our
real quick, while we've got him up there, he's not only chief rival there for Eric, he's the only other TCR driver who has taken wins this year. A couple of wins back at Barber and Mosport. So if there's anybody who's got a shot to take Eric down tonight and kind of slow down the champagne celebrations, it's probably going to be Brandon.
Yeah, there you go. So if you take a look at the left-hand side of your screen, we've got the drivers starting to pop up there on the timing pylon. When you see the drivers with the blue numbers to their left, those are our GT4 drivers, those in the Porsche Caymans, the BMW M4 GT4s, and also the McLaren 570s. And then the drivers with the gray numbers to the left, much like we were talking with Brandon, and talking to Eric Violet and just watching Brandon Whitworth, they are our TCR drivers. And you'll also notice that the GT4 drivers, they've got the blue mirrors, blue banners as well. And, I think it's pretty easy to tell which are the Audis and which aren't the Audis out there.
Yeah, there's always that. Which ones look like little grocery getter boxes, and which ones looks like high performance sports cars. No knock on the TCRs, but yeah, I mean they're great racing and all, but man, they are just not. They're not the same as a Cayman Porsche, you know?
No, definitely not. All right, so Larry, as we're about 5 minutes into the 15-minute session here, and you talked about just a moment ago Brandon Whitworth, the only other driver in the TCR field to pick up wins here in this season in the Sports Car Series in TCR. Why don't we go down? We'll take a look at where we stand in the points, and actually we'll jump back 3 weeks to Watkins Glen, where Eric Violette picked up his 5th win of the season. He started third, started on the inside of the second row, managed to work his way past Brendan Whitworth and also Andre Saunders to take the win. Whitworth, his teammate, finished in second with Saunders, who was our pole sitter 3 weeks ago, finishing in third with Scott Brooks and Andrew List coming in 4th and 5th. And if we go and take a look at the current point standings in TCR, you'll see there, based on 5 wins out of 7, Eric Violette, your current points leader with 224 points, Brandon Whitworth with 207, and then their teammate Andrew List in the number 61 Audi RS3 sitting back in third with 186. Then Scott Brooks and Andre Saunders. If we look a little bit further down the field, in the battle for 7th right now, we can see Eduardo Cabal and Jay Shallington, and I don't think either of those drivers are here this evening.
I do not believe so.
If they were, it would have been a great battle for 7th position, as there's only 1 point separating them, and then a little bit further back, Austin Knight and Chris Sabo, 57 and 54 points respectively, with Eduardo Lorente just a little bit further back from there. So we could have had a 3-car battle for 9th, but I don't think any of those drivers are here this evening.
No, it's unfortunate. You know, 14 drivers have scored finishes here this season, which is great. It's been some up participation, but we just haven't seemed to have that week where everyone's here. As this is the end of the season, things like this happen, but perhaps we start the next season. TCR could be a big popular one, as people love to race those side by sides. I'm hoping we get a good big field, double-digit cars, and really offer the front runners a little bit more push than maybe they're getting here. They do compete well with each other, but it'd be great to see a little deeper field there.
Yes, certainly, and I think that's also affecting our GT4 field as well, Larry. If we go back 3 weeks and look there, taking the win, and it was his 5th win of the season as well. We had Elvis Rankin in the Apex Racing Team Porsche Cayman coming home in first, with Robert Hartley and Mike Dam finishing 2nd and 3rd. The 2 Orion Racing teammates both driving McLaren 570s. Oh, there's a nice little drift by David Payton, and as he goes and crosses the start-finish line.
Or
yes, I'm very sure it's not Patton as he crosses the start-finish line backwards. Now, again, that race a couple weeks ago at Watkins Glen, I think probably the biggest surprise was that Chris Thorman and Travis Schwenke, they got together in the uphill S's on the very first lap. Schwenke did not complete a single lap in that race, finishes at the tail end of the field. Chris Thorman finishing, I think he only got, well, he finished about 4 laps down, finished in 9th. So big mix-up there. And let's go and we'll take a look at the points and see how they stand right now, as it looks like a lot of drivers here having some issues on course in qualifying. And Elvis Rankin in the number 1 Apex Racing Team Porsche Cayman. He is your current leader by 20 points over Mike Dam in the Orion Racing McLaren. Then we've got Tony Kernan truthfully 10 points back from there in 3rd. Then we've got Robert Hartley, Jeff Jacobs, Chris Thorman, Russ Ruddock, Randall McGrew, Schwenke, and Payton. You can see that things are very close in the battle for 6th between Chris Thorman and Russ Ruddock, and I believe both drivers are here and racing this evening. So we'll see if they can make some moves. Jeff Jacobs, who is only 9 points up on Thorman right now, running in 5th here as well. So we may have definitely have some changes. We also have Travis Schwenke and David Payton in a battle for 9th right now, only 2 points separating them. So we may have some changes there as well.
Good battles down the field.
Yeah, the biggest surprise here, though, Larry.
Should we talk about this?
Yeah,
the not-heres?
Yeah, we might as well. And this really might change things up and maybe raise the competition level just a little bit, as Elvis Rankin, our points leader, is not in the field this evening. Mike Dam in the Orion Racing McLaren not in the field either. So that definitely will open things up.
Yeah, they are the two top levels in the championship standings, as we've seen. But what it does to me is it creates opportunities for the rest of the field to kind of shine a little bit instead of us kind of paying so much time and energy on Elvis and Mike. Let's push these guys aside. Let's talk a little bit more about Robert Hartley, who right now is sitting on provisional pole. Tony Kernot, we talk about every week about how he hard charges through the pack. Well, tonight he's already provisionally up on the second row. We can talk about Chris Thorman, who we've talked to in the past couple of weeks. Randall McGrew, Jeff Jacobs. We can talk about these guys a little bit more focused because we kind of really see what their race strategy is going to be like folding out now that they're actually going for wins and podiums in this race. And I think I'm excited to kind of feature these guys a little bit more than we had in the last couple of weeks.
Sure, and as far as the championship standings go, Larry, again, Mike Dam only with a 10-point advantage over Tony Kernan, so it's quite possible that he may give up second place overall this season to Tony Kernan. Wow, am I tongue-tied this evening?
I'm starting to wonder if we're the ones doing the drinking game or if the people listening are doing the drinking game. The way we sound tonight.
Exactly. Yeah, Peyton. Anyway,
Bobby,
all I have to do that is like another 30 times, and yes, we may drop off with our viewership here by like half.
We are just trying to make sure we get everybody's name pronounced correctly, to not mess those up. So, if we're doing it wrong and it's wrong, go ahead and message us, even if we're doing it right.
That's right. All right, so we've got Tony Kernan. We're watching him on a flyer right now. As you mentioned, he is currently sitting second here in qualifying as he goes down under braking into turns 10A and 10B. And let's see where he stands right now.
I can tell you real quick, as we had Eric Violet in here earlier, he did come back and ping me and say, hey, if you do want to pull me in and to talk through a lap, or to talk to him while he's driving, he did say that offer's still out there. I believe he just pulled into the pit lane.
Yes.
Currently has the quickest time in that field of the TCRs. So, if we want to, on his out lap or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like he's still got 2 laps in the. It looks like he's got 2 laps left to use here in qualifying. So maybe we will bring him in when he rolls off. Also, Larry, we will hopefully be having Jeff Jacobs in with us here in just a few moments, who's one of the administrators of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, and to talk about some things upcoming for Season 3.
Yeah, I'm excited for that as well. We'll see what happens in the next round of the season here with these. I love watching this mixed class racing of the TCR GT4s is excellent. I think it's some of the best, and I also just love the way that the Extreme 99 and the Ricmotech series has played out. I think they do a fantastic job. So really interested to see what the future could be as the next season starts to unfold next week, I think, or maybe 2 weeks from now when the Ricmotech season, whatever it is,
we'll have
19.
and we'll get into the schedule a little bit later, but in 2 weeks we should have the next season of the Classic Sprint Series. Our Mazda MX-5 drivers taking, I believe they're going to be heading to Brazil.
Oh, that is one of my favorite tracks. Unless they built a new one. The track at Sao Paulo, Interlagos, is certainly one of my favorites. It races well, it flows well. It's great in some of the lower power cars like MX-5s. My favorite combination, I think I've declared now in all of the sim, is the Skip Barber 2000 at Interlagos. It just has a rhythm to it unlike any other, and the MX-5s can be great racing because what you find is at that track you can go side by side through an entire lap, and it's going to happen in a couple weeks. I'm looking forward to it. But for this week, we have Road Atlanta and our sports cars, and it always tends to bring some good racing here as well. Certainly here among the GT4s and the TCRs with all that draft down the back straight, and it's tough for TCRs usually to make a pass in the draft. But we'll see if tonight we see a lot of spot swapping here among our group.
All right, so now we have just about 1 minute remaining here in the 15-minute qualifying session. We do have, looks like Bobby Child still possibly has a lap in hand, and David Payton, Eric Violet as well, and Andre Saunders. Don't see them heading out, and given the time left on the clock, Larry, it looks like they're all going to call it a day. So, and hopefully we can get Jeff Jacobs up here before we bring cars out onto the grid. If not, I'm sure we can bring him in towards the end of the evening.
Sure, I'm sure he wouldn't mind doing his own broadcast live from the race seat, as we've seen his already his video stream while he was finishing up his qualifying a little while ago. He's one of those that has a camera on his setup.
All right, so the checkered flag is now out here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and we are now getting ready for race time for the 60-minute sprint to the checker for our season finale here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. And let's go and run down the grid, Larry.
All right, let's go ahead and start with our pole sitter tonight from Orion Racing. It's Robert Hartley running that 126.2. A couple of tenths back on his left is going to be Tony Kernan in the Kernan Motorsports Porsche. On the second row on the inside, D2DE Racing's Chris Thorman will be on the inside of row 2. He'll be lined up with Genesis Sim Sports' Randall McGrew on the outside. Row 3, also from D2DE Racing, following his teammate, he'll be on the inside of row 3 is Bobby Childs. On the outside of row 3 is Jeff Jacobs from the StreetSurvival.org team. Row 4, Russ Ruddock, the Flying Tortoise Motorsport entry. He'll be lined up alongside another D2DE Racing teammate here, David Payton. He'll be on row 4. Row 5, Kevin Ford going to be out there tonight. We hope. He could just be signed in as one of the marshals, but maybe we'll see him racing as well. And
right,
I think we've got, it says Wolfgang Merlbach, I believe.
Yeah, let's see. I believe we may have Wolfgang Merlbach in the BMW M4.
Not sure if he took a lap in
well.
qualifying, so we will see. Right now, it's showing him on the on row number 5. We'll see where he ends up if he did in fact turn a lap in qualifying. All right, so let's take a look at the grid now for the TCR group. On the pole is going to be Eric Violette. On his outside is going to be his teammate Brandon Whitworth. On the inside of row 2, Andre Saunders, who was on pole a couple weeks back. He was on row 2 in this race. And on outside of row 2 from Brooks Racing, Scott Brooks.
All right, and that rounds out our starting grid here at Road Atlanta. We'll have the pace car here underway momentarily to bring the field around this 2.5-mile 12-turn course. And there you go. I noticed, Larry, as we were following the cars out on track for qualifying, that all of the latest updates to Michelin Raceway had been made, that we have the new curbing, the blue and yellow curbing here, and more importantly, we have that brand new media center right on the outside of turn 12 there, coming onto the front straight. And so we've got our GT4 field now starting out and making their way around, and we'll see the TCR drivers start their pace lap here in just a moment as they make their way around. And of course, we'll go and explain the starting procedure here just a little bit, Larry, as our pole sitter makes his way underneath the Fox Factory Bridge and rolling down turn 12. He can start accelerating. When he starts accelerating, that is essentially go time for our drivers, as opposed to waiting for the actual green flag from iRacing, and then cannot pass until you get to the start-finish line, however, and then it is battle on. So we'll see how this plays out as we have now the safety car bringing the field around out of turn 5 over to that short chute in turn 6.
And I tell you, the start zone at this track is one of the hardest ones for me whenever I'm driving at this track, because you know the start finish is way down the hill around the final bend, but here the start zone always comes on as you're just coming under the bridge and heading down that hill, and it's very difficult because it gives you a longer run, but you can't even see the true start finish, and everyone's kind of bottled up as you're going through that kink down in 12. It's just it's one of the weirdest start I've ever seen, but very clear on how the procedure here is going to work. But it just always, especially if you're at the tail of it, you're really just coming out of 10B sometimes.
Yeah, you're putting them out of 10B and start heading up the hill towards the bridge.
It creates some excitement always going into turn 1 when you've got the back markers, some with a full head of steam, and the front guys had to wait, bunches everybody up to go crest the hill and head up towards 2.
All right, so we've got the second pack, our TCR cars. They're just now, and you can see they're quite a bit further back. They're just now coming onto the back straight out of turn 7 as the safety car now is bringing the field through 10A and 10B, and we're going to have that start in just a moment with Robert Hartley in his McLaren on pole, Tony Kernan in the Porsche Cayman. girded up on the outside of the front row. Then we've got Randall McGrew and Chris Thorman. Lots of Porsches there up at the front of the field as they start to make their way down the hill, and we're waiting for Hartley to get on the throttle, and there he goes, and he is away. He already gets a bit of an advantage now over Tony Kernan, as we now have side by side.
Watch McGrew in that third spot right now.
Yeah, we've got Thorman with McGrew. McGrew getting by, and we always see that McGrew very, very aggressive in the first couple of laps. And then side by side, right behind Chris Thorman, we've got Jeff Jacobs and Bobby Childs as they're fighting for position now, coming through that real tough turn 3, making their way down through the S's. As we jump back over to the start now in TCR, where we've got now sitting in the lead, we've got Eric Violet and Brandon Whitworth. They're nose to tail already right behind Whitworth. We've got Andre Saunders and Scott Brooks, and already our top 2 cars in TCR, Violet and Whitworth, starting to separate themselves out from the rest of the field, Larry.
And, you know, they tend to do that, but I don't think they're going to be able to separate from each other with Violet Whitworth. Whitworth always tends to stay right with them and try and push Violet around, and we'll see as that battle plays out. We already heard Eric Violet's strategy is to probably not change tires, so maybe Whitworth can get in front of him and force Violet to kind of use some of those tires. As they always say, when you lose the arrow, you wear your tires. Right now, for Whitworth, he'd love to be the lead car to try and do some of that. We'll see if he's able to get around him here as the laps unfold.
All right, now coming down under braking, going into 10A and 10B for the very first time in GT4. We've got Robert Hartley in his McLaren that leads Tony Kernan up the hill underneath the Fox Factory Bridge, but just back behind him, side by side, we've got Childs and Jacobs still battling it out for position. Bobby Childs manages to hold off Jeff Jacobs as they now make that short run over to the high speed, a little brush of the brake, and up through turn 1.
Yeah, these 2 front guys are just really staying tight as they come plummeting down here through the S's. Kernan, as we've talked about in the past, tends to heat up as the race goes on, but he's looking pretty racy right now, right on the back on the heels of Hartley. Hartley's been pretty consistent lately. He's been kind of one of the beneficiaries of Mike Dam's aggressive and occasional issues. Well, with no Dam running tonight, it's Hartley's show, and right now he's going to try and set the pace for that pack. As we take a look at the TCRs now, trying to go side by side.
Yeah,
maybe
down
even a
through
course
the
cut
S's.
there for Saunders.
And yeah, there we go, and jumping out, Andre Saunders now in that battle with Brandon Whitworth. Saunders had taken over second position there for a moment. Whitworth gets it back as they come up through turn 5 now. And you can see there Whitworth got very, very racy after having lost the position coming onto the front straight the previous lap here. But they've also both lost a lot of ground now to Eric Violet. Definitely an opportunity to make up a little bit here as they come onto the back straight. But let's now take a look here coming down through turn 12 as Tony Kernan staying right on the tail of Robert Hartley. And Larry, you have to think that the very long back straight here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, definitely helps Kernan's cause to stay close with our leader.
Yeah, and Kernan's going to try and just kind of push Hartley. Hartley, like I mentioned, he's consistent, so he may be a difficult one to push into a mistake. Kernan may be forced to beam that aggressor in that battle for 1 and 2. As we've got the Jeff Jacobs train now with David Payton and Russ Bennett. We've got a big wreck coming out of there right in front of Jacobs, it looked like.
Yeah, coming out of turn 5, we've got the 88 and the 60 car getting together.
Thorman.
That's Thorman and Bobby Childs, and both of those drivers, and it looks like Thorman now bringing his car back to the pits, getting the tow back, and we'll have to take a look at what happens with the other car there.
Yeah, I remember they came together
Childs
in
has done the same thing.
Whatever other Ricmotech series, the World Challenge last week at the Motegi Twin Ring, they came together late in the race with a bit of contact. So those teammates struggling to keep themselves apart out here.
All right, so both Thorman and Childs now back in the pits, trying to get some repairs done on their car, as that now moves Jeff Jacobs up into 4th position. Randall McGrew having picked up the position as well. He is now in 3rd, leading that train as they come down onto the front straight, and then sitting currently in 5th, David Payton in that number 64 BMW. He is probably, that is not Payton in the BMW, that is, or looking a little bit further back, that's Russ Ruddick in the number 95 machine back there. good little battle picking up here in the battle for fourth with Jacobs, Payton, and Russ Ruddick. But that has allowed our top three drivers, Hartley, Kernan, and McGrew, to move away as we jump back over to the battle in TCR here with the number 72 machine of Andre Saunders, making up a little bit of ground now, holding tight with Brandon Whitworth, but you can see that both of them starting to reel Eric Violet back in as they come through the S's and up through that very difficult turn 5. And you can just see it's amazing there. You get that little bit of wheel hop in the rear from the Audis. Obviously it's a front-wheel drive car. The axle isn't, the rear end isn't there for much more than anything than to hold the bodywork up off the ground there, and but kind of bounding over the curbs. You'll find that the curbs get used quite a bit here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, they do. What we had seen is that battle there of Saunders and Whitworth that had actually gone side by side down the S's on a previous lap, gave a bit of a gap to Eric Violet. They've settled down a little bit. Now Whitworth, as you can see, is closing back up on Violet and not going to let him get away. Probably a good move. You don't want the championship leader to get an easy win here. You want to push him for all it's worth as we head back to the leaders of GT4, where it's still Hartley and Kernan holding close.
All right, hey, Larry, looks like we have an opportunity right here. Obviously, and I'm sure this isn't the reason why he went into the pits, but as long as he's in the pits right now, why don't we bring in Bobby Childs and find out exactly, what happened, and maybe he has a little bit of information on the season coming up. Bobby, can you hear us?
I don't have
Oh,
Bobby in here
I
yet.
caught you halfway through what you were saying. I didn't know if you were talking to me.
No, there we go, Larry. You wanna pick it up?
Sure.
Here?
So, Bobby, since you've got some time to talk to us right now as you're sitting in the pits, we're going to ask you a little bit about maybe plans for next season, if you have any thoughts about where you might be at.
Well, I mean, apart from what just happened, oh my gosh, man, we just had nowhere to go. Chris just kind of lost it right there. And his car was moving, and man, I feel so bad for him because he does so much for the team, and he was so quick tonight. Yeah, what it looks like we've got going on next season, you're probably going to see 3 to 4 D2D entries in all 3 series. Since iRacing updated the Global MX-5 Cup car with the sequential shifter, I have absolutely fallen in love with it again, and so I am coming back to the Classic Sprint Series as well. So I'll continue working with the McLaren here, which I thought we were going to be okay. I was really, you saw as the race started, I just kind of let Jeff Jacobs go right there at the beginning. I was just going to settle in, and man, it just such a shame to end early. But we're going to keep working with the McLaren. We're going to keep working with that Ferrari 488. I love that car so much. And coming back to the MX-5s.
Awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, going back to the incident tonight, yourself and your teammate there, unfortunate, but if I recall, you guys had an incident kind of coming together a couple weeks ago as well, or last week in the World Challenge race as well. So kind of making a trend out of this. Hopefully we put an end to it at just 2 races in a row where you and your teammate make a little bit of contact.
Well, come on, man, this time wasn't even my fault, man. Cut me some slack.
I gotta give you some grief.
Like, last week, what happened at Ricmotech too? Like, it wasn't even a 0x. It was like the 0x-2x, and neither one of us actually got an incident point for that. It was just, I hit him just enough to send him off the track. I was trying to watch the GTE leaders out of one eye and try to watch him out of the other. And it just didn't work out. And then
I hear that net code excuse, and I just think, that's just an excuse for I probably was following too close. I'm just saying.
No, that was not net code. I hit him. I definitely hit him, but I only hit him enough. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even a real. It was a 0x contact, but it was just enough to lift his rear end off the ground. And around before Chris went into the pits, I went.
Yeah.
And then tonight he lost it in what we affectionately call Bobby's corner. There's one of the famous early World Challenge races where we still had MX-5s. I was running P2 on my own lap all by myself, and my now teammate Brandon Whitworth was out there a lap down, and I just felt like I just had to race him. I had to try to catch him, and I hit that corner just the wrong way and ended up destroying the car from a P2 finish. My team has called that Bobby's Corner ever since, and maybe after tonight we'll rename it Chris's Corner. Who knows?
Thorman Bend or something down there.
Thorman Bend. I like that.
Yeah, tough way for tonight's race to go so far. But, you know, in the TCR, the team right now is holding up that first 2 positions and doing quite well. Have you talked to the guys much coming into this one?
Oh yeah, we talk a lot. They were really pumped. Eric's been out there trying to get the word out to get some more TCR competitors here too, and you know we think we've got a great setup here. These two guys with our D2D team, they're ready, willing, and able to help anyone who wants to come in and try the TCR here in our U.S.-based IMSA league that we run here, our Pokey Little Ricmotech series. We think it's great fun, and we'd like more people to come out. And you see what Eric and Brandon are capable of, the races they put up against guys like Kevin Carlisle as well. And, you know, it's a great place to be.
Yep, and you're absolutely right. This is definitely some of the best racing out there, and there's great talent here. Just looking to attract a little more of that great talent, make some bigger fields so that we can really gauge and show really how strong the talent that we have is. As we're watching David's out there trying to chase down Jeff Jacobs right now for that 4th spot. So David's running pretty well tonight too. David Payton, I want to make sure I get that right.
Oh yeah, man, because now that I'm parked, I definitely could indulge in some beverages if we chose to. But so yeah, Dave's been putting in some hard work too, and we're really proud of all that he does for the team. And you know, he's really struggled to come to terms with the different handling characteristics of the GT4, but he keeps working on it week after week. He's a real trooper.
Yeah, well, just as we're talking about him, I think he just got a course cut at turn 10 and had to give up a spot to Russ Ruddock there, but he's going to be fighting to get it back, I'm sure, as they come down to the S's. So he's driving well and being aggressive, and I love seeing that.
Well, I mean, that's all you can ask for out of any driver. And, you know, sometimes it works out. I know Chris was pushing really hard. He had really solid pace in practice, and he wanted to push real hard there. And, you know, sometimes as you push, you find those limits and you step over them. And, you know, these things that happen tonight just kind of come together.
Yeah, they do. It's a part of racing, unfortunately. But, you know, some days you drive well, and other days you're the bug on the windshield, as they say. So. But appreciate you coming in and talking to us, you know, in all your spare time tonight. And hopefully, are you gonna go back out and take laps? Or are you just gonna sit back and crack a cold one and watch the action?
Oh, I think this car is done. The only thing I would be tonight after this is a rolling chicane. So I think we're just going to get out of everybody's way, let them have a good final race at Atlanta. If you don't mind, I'd like to send a quick shout out to the List family, our team owners. Driver Andrew and his parents, Jim and Deb. They're such strong supporters of what we do here, and just want to say hi to those guys as they're watching tonight.
Definitely, and we appreciate the support and hope they're tuning in.
And also to Jardier community member Stubby. He's been battling some health issues. He shows up in the chat here for the Apex broadcasts a lot. We hope you're doing well out there, Stubby.
Yeah, definitely, Stubby. Hope you're going to enjoy tonight's show. This is going to be a good one. All right. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bobby. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Tough
luck
job tonight. And that is Bobby Childs, driver of the number 88 D2D E-Racing McLaren 570S, as we have been watching some great battles here. Right now, the battle for in both classes. We're watching right now our leader, Robert Hartley, with Tony Kernan close behind, and Larry, the last time by, 1/1000th of a second separated those two drivers, with Hartley turning a 1:26.649 and Kernan making up 1/1000th of a second at a 1:26.648. As they now make their way down through turn 12. And as I've been watching while we were talking to Bobby, and you can see here now as Kernan's starting to show the nose a little bit, going into turn 1, Hartley has been turning in earlier and earlier. He's been getting the car further and further out, not just onto the blue and yellow curbing, but very close to dropping a wheel on the exit of turn 1, fairly not all that high up the exit there. And I think
that's a dangerous place to drop a tire, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
it'll pull you, and you'll end up somewhere around turn 3 by the time you come to a rest. It takes you all the way through the grass.
I was going to say somewhere near Duluth, Georgia. And he's getting pretty close to that point. You can tell he is really pushing that car around. And frankly, Tony Kernan is as well.
We've talked about Kernan kind of being that, bit of a slow starter sometimes in qualifying, but he comes on just full force as the race progresses. And you can see it now, just pushing Hartley for everything he's got. And I think Kernan appears to be that chaser. He likes to be the one that really goes after it, and it's putting the pressure on Hartley. Like you had said, he's trying to hit every inch perfect and be it on it the whole way around. If you're Hartley, the last thing you want to do is to start driving with your mirrors. You're really hitting your marks is great, but as soon as you start thinking that guy's getting close, that's when you start making those mistakes.
All right, we're jumping back now over to the battle for 4th with Jeff Jacobs, Russ Ruddock, and David Payton. As Payton gave that position up to the BMW of Ruddock about 2 laps ago, and has not been able to get back into a position to contest the position here. And you can see Ruddock now starting to make up a little bit of ground on the number 38 Cayman of Jeff Jacobs. Here is, again, the effects of the draft helping out just a little bit here, as Ruddock now also running a little wide there, is now only a little bit less than half a second, actually a little bit more than half a second off of Jeff Jacobs. Again, that being the battle for 4th. And as we were watching Brandon Whitworth in TCR, he started to separate himself out from Andre Saunders in the battle for 2nd, and he has been a pretty consistent 9/10 to 1 second off of Eric Violet, but I think this last time by starting to close things down just a little bit, Larry.
He definitely is closing up that lead pretty quickly, staying under a second as the draft get down the back straight, able to chip away a little bit further. And as you say, Saunders had been right there with Whitworth. In fact, at one point going through the S's, they were side by side about 5 laps ago. Whitworth's having none of that. He's pulling away. Saunders just fading a bit there. But I'm going to look for that battle to go. And maybe for Whitworth, he doesn't want to get too close. As they've always talked about that front tire wear, it gets worse when you follow too closely behind somebody. So maybe if you're Whitworth, staying at that 6, 7, 8 tenths might actually be a better move for you before making your actual aggression type of action something either before the pit stops or after the pit stops as the race really heats up. He might just be playing the save the tire game, also known as that his teammate Eric is going to do the same thing, trying to save some tires. So might be waiting till later in the race for the Violet and Whitworth battle to really unfold. But GT4, they didn't wait at all. They barely waited for the green flag to get this battle going between the Porsche and the McLaren there of Hartley and Kernan. Those guys, I don't think I've seen more than about 4 tenths between them since in the last 4 or 5 laps. Kernan waiting for his opportunity to make that move. I'd be curious if Kernan's even lifting down the back straight to just stay in behind him. At this point,
and they're both starting to throw the car all over the place, Larry. We saw going up into turn 3 where Hartley dropped the left wheel on the turn-in. Car got a little bit loose on entry, gathered it back up. Kernan went off into the grass slightly, coming down the S's, where one driver maybe gives a little bobble and gives up a little ground. The next corner by, the other driver does the same. As we jump back over to the battle now, again for 4th, we've got Jeff Jacobs there in the lower right-hand corner, looking awfully intent and intense here as they come under braking down the hill into turn 10A. And Russ Ruddock had closed up, I think, about 3 car lengths in the last lap. And not only that, David Payton now right on his rear bumper as well.
As Jeff Jacobs looking at him reminds me of why my eyes get dry when I do sim racing. I don't think he's blinked in the 2 minutes we've had him up there.
There's one.
But
all right, and now
here comes the
Ruddock
move
coming to the inside as they go down under braking into 1. And as they go up now side by side, it looks like Ruddock's going to be able to take over 4th position. The question is whether or not Payton is going to be able to take advantage of it.
But Ruddock runs wide there at 3 at the top of the hill, giving a good run for Jacobs now behind him. but there's nowhere really to pass going down here. But for a second there, it looks like Ruddock was going to be just a bit out there by those cones on driver's left, able to contain it, get the run now coming off of 5. But this battle is certainly on for 4th place. And as you talk about Peyton, he's kind of the wild card here. He was sandwiched in between these guys, had that course cut, had to give up the position. Now that he's caught back up, watch for him to try to make the move on Jacobs. And certainly if the opportunity here for Ruddock is that he's faster than Jacobs, Peyton's going to want to get around Jacobs quickly to not let Russ Ruddock get away.
All right, we just had on screen not only Jeff Jacobs, but we had Russ Ruddock. You can see him using the 3D setup along with a couple extra screens there and enough buttons to run a 747, I think, as well. Got the probably the Ricmotech.
All for sale at Ricmotech.com.
Yes, exactly, and have the whole series of button panels there as they come under braking now, going into 10A and 10B. Here,
and we've got to change the
back.
lead as Kernan now going up through 1 towards 2 and now through 3. He's now ahead of Hartley. He took that opportunity. We didn't quite see it. Maybe we'll catch a replay in a minute. But for Kernan, taking over the lead now we'll really see, does Kernan have the pace? Was he holding back? Or was he getting a draft, maybe staying with Hartley? So we're going to see now with the roles reversed who's got the advantage.
All right, and hopefully we can go back and see a replay of that change as they're now coming into turn 6 here, that heavily banked right-hander, and coming up on some slower traffic as well.
Yeah, this will be interesting now with the roles reversed. Kernan, free track. Sometimes it's easy when you're the trailing partner there to hit your marks off of the one in front of you. Suddenly when you're thrust out in front, you have to pick your own marks now, and it's a little bit harder. At this stage of the race, great opportunity for Hartley to maybe learn a little bit for Kernan in case they later on are still sitting 1-2 as we go late in the race. But for Kernan, got to make that transition quickly.
All right, and here comes the replay here in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Let's take a look as they come up the hill to the Fox Factory Bridge, go side by side down into the final corner, turn 12. And that is where Tony Kernan made the move, got it done, and he is our new leader.
It looked like Hartley got a little wide coming off of the chicane there off of 10B and just kind of get out near that grass, had to check up a little bit, and that gave the opportunity for Kernan to just dive down that inside. All
right, and as our leaders now head up the hill, make those blind turns into turn 3. Again, they're coming up on the back of our TCR field. Scott Brooks in the number 94 machine just ahead, and we'll have to see if that holds up. You can see Kernan taking a lot of curbing there over at turn 4, and as they move up the hill, probably at just the right time, Kernan pops to the inside. He's going to roll right on by. The question is the McLaren close enough? And he is. So we've got Hartley will get by as well as they roll into turn 6. Hard under braking into turn 7 onto the back straight.
Yeah, great for Brooks there to kind of recognize the situation. Just lift coming out of 5, let both those guys going by on the same straightaway to not get in the way through those double right-handers down there at 6 and 7. So this keeps this battle alive as we switch back to the other battle, the 4, 5, 6 battle, now with Ruddock leading Jacobs and Peyton. Peyton just painting himself to the back of Jeff Jacobs' car, trying to make sure that Jeff definitely sees that it's a D2D e-racing driver behind him. No mistaking the livery there for David Peyton. But for Jacobs, we talk about this every week. He's consistent. He drives a wide car, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's a really tough pass. So for Ruddock to get the opportunity to take it, that shows that Ruddock really was a faster driver there. But for Peyton, we know that he's going to have to be aggressive, and you have to make a move to get by Jeff Jacobs.
And you can see there taking a late turn in, going into 10A, trying to make up a little bit of ground, carry a little speed underneath the Fox Factory Bridge to turn 12.
This might be the opportunity for Peyton, as he's got a good run coming down there, but not able to quite get close enough here. For a moment, looked like he might have.
Yeah, and it all started there at 10A, and unfortunately just kind of ran out of room as they went down through turn 12 as we jump back over to that battle for 4th.
As they come plummeting down the S's, the infamous Road Atlanta S's down here. I mean, there's very few North American tracks that have this signature that you can see it no matter what magazine it's in or when you see it on TV. You know what track you're at when you see those S's coming down there.
Yeah, and Larry, a good friend of both yours and mine, first time he ran a track day at the Michelin Raceway. The thing he told the drivers at the drivers meeting in the morning is, congratulations, you are now at probably your very first big boy racetrack. And it is certainly the case. There are a lot of very intimidating corners here, whether it be that drop down in the turn 12 or the S's, or even heavy underbraking going into turn 7, knowing that the front end of the car is just going to wash out, and it just presents difficulties and challenges at more or less every turn. As we jump back to the lead here in TCR with Eric Violet, our leader, having 5 wins out of 7 rounds so far this season. Brandon Whitworth, his D2D E-Racing teammate in the number 42 machine, he is sitting about 2 car lengths back.
And has those other 2 wins this season is kind of the critical piece when it comes to the final points. If he could possibly take this win tonight and come away with 3 wins, really close that gap. I don't know how the math works out and the drops and all that stuff, but if you're Whitworth, you know you've got to win this race to kind of save something, and certainly capable considering he's got a couple wins and a string of seconds here following Violet this whole season. But like I talked about earlier, he might be deliberately keeping that gap, knowing how bad those front tires get. Especially, I can't imagine putting all that load on the tires going into 10, right up against somebody's rear fascia, knowing you can't make the pass anyway. So it might be a strategy thing in the TCR field to stay a little bit further back and not get right underneath. But in the GT4s, getting up under the back of somebody is exactly how it's done, as we saw Kernan do to Hartley a couple laps ago. Hartley now needs to reverse this. He needs to get back at it and get underneath the back of that Porsche and have an opportunity to force Kernan into a mistake. As these guys are coming up on the rest of the field here, looks like they've got Hunter Saunders now in front of them, coming up into the S's.
Yeah, not only Saunders, but they do also have, I think, right ahead of them. Let's see, I believe that might be David Payton at just ahead. No, it's not Payton ahead of them. Let's see.
It's anybody ahead of them at the moment, but if they do, it's probably a GT4 car.
Oh, actually, it might be Chris Dorman, possibly.
It could be. He is back on the track.
Yeah. There you go, a flash of the lights
Kernan
there
asking for a point. He used some terminology from something that we may have done last weekend. He's asking for the point by, did not get it. He'll get it back here as the Cayman's going to have a little bit more horses on the top end to get on by down the back straight.
And you can see where the McLaren tries to get the draft off the back of the Audi before popping out.
Take every bit that you can. You never know. An extra mile an hour could mean quite a bit of difference at the end of the straightaway. And as I mentioned, when you're in the GT4s, getting underneath somebody's rear wing it takes away some aero, but it doesn't really ruin the tires like it does in TCR. So it's okay to get up in there. And if you're Robert Hartley, you want to try and stay close, use everything you can. As he's going to take the early stop right on cue with Hartley. Be the first of our runners, the first of anybody, I think, to be coming in. And so we'll see as he comes in, taking tires or not. We heard Eric Violet talk about not taking tires in the TCR. We'll see if it's the same here in the GT4s for Robert Hartley. It looks like Payton has gotten around Jeff Jacobs. So Payton now got to work. He took him a couple laps. He gave a little bit of ground now to Russ Ruddock out in front of him. He's got about a second now to make up, but he did finally get around Jeff Jacobs. That took, what, about 4 laps?
Yeah, I was going to say about 5 laps for him to get that done now, and so that now moves the Porsche of the number 64 machine up into now into 4th position as Randall McGrew takes over 2nd place with Hartley in the pits, and Hartley now heading back out on track. Spent about 26 seconds in the pits, and he's back on his way.
I wonder if maybe if he took anything, it'd be like left side tires only. Did not look long enough to take all 4. So we'll see where he comes out with not as much traffic tonight. We've talked about our points leaders in GT4 not here tonight. We've only got 4 in the TCRs. So this is a great opportunity if you want to take that early stop, go for the undercut, because there's not much traffic. Some tracks, you do that, you get caught in traffic when you've got 25, 30 cars out there. But tonight, we're less than about 15. Great opportunity for Robert Hartley to maybe try that undercut, and we'll see at the point when, as it looks like in Tony Kernan.
Yeah, it looks like Russ Ruddock. Let's see, that's not.
As Kernan may have had an issue. He's dropped the order. we may have had a disconnect issue for Tony Kernan, which is going to shake things up with the leader.
Yes, it is.
Taking that lead from Hartley, and he looks so quick. And for Kernan, this is just awful. It's heartbreaking if that's what's happened, but it does look like he may have had a disconnect. So Tony Kernan may be out of this race, which is going to put Randall McGrew into the lead ahead of several seconds, almost 12 ahead of Russ Ruddock. So Randall McGrew in the Van Halen livery Porsche Cayman, now your leader in this race. Now it looks as Randall McGrew, does he know, he probably does by now, that he's the new leader? He's battling the Robert Hartley, who's already made his pit stop. So now we're watching that gap between those two. Who will have the lead? McGrew finally takes his stop. And if you're McGrew, you kind of find this position sort of lands on you. It's not sure what to do with it, but now it's just put laps down and see what happens.
All right, so our second place runner now, Russ Ruddock, leading David Payton and Jeff Jacobs under braking going into turn 10A. They are once again coming up on Scott Brooks.
All right, so here's a
the
replay.
number 94 machine. Okay, let's take a look at the replay here.
It's the replay of Tony Kernan down the back straight. And just like that, he was getting a bit of a draft off of what I think was Chris Thorman, and just gone.
Yeah, and now we go back into real time here, and heading into the pits, we have both Russ Ruddock and also David Payton coming in. We already had Randall McGrew there on the pits as well. We can see sitting towards the tail end of the TCR field, Scott Brooks in the pits taking tires.
Wow, and there goes the leader Hartley now taking over. As there's McGrew still in the pits. Pretty quick stop for McGrew.
And he gets out ahead of, gets out ahead of Ruddock and Payton.
So this will be the battle that we want to see who's got the better pit crew. Payton makes the leap, getting around Ruddock there. So Payton looks like he's going to end up coming out in fourth. Because it should be effectively third, as Jeff Jacobs has not taken a stop. So Jacobs leads the race now with Hartley, McGrew, and Payton and Ruddock, who've all taken their stops. But it's Jeff Jacobs now assuming the lead here right about the halfway mark of this 60-minute race.
All right, so Jeff Jacobs now all by himself there on track, trying to put in a couple flyers, hopefully to open up a bit of a gap, but it's going to be tough there, as we saw. David Payton made the overcut on Russ Ruddock coming out of the pits, and now coming down into the pit lane is Jeff Jacobs.
As our broadcast team has helped us out a little bit, spotting for us, maybe not have enough fuel to have gotten this far. It's going to be pretty tight for Jacobs. Might have been coasting down that hill into the pit lane, but he is in. He's going to come in for his fuel, and he's going to head back out. Very tight on fuel tonight here in the GT4 race.
All right, so we have our leader now in the number 3 McLaren, Robert Hartley, as he makes his way up. Has now about
14 seconds.
14-second advantage over Randall McGrew.
And for McGrew, also able to get around Jeff Jacobs. And so the battle we're going to watch here is probably going to be this one, currently heading around Scott Brooks. That is David Payton. He's in the D2D E-Racing Porsche Cayman, and he's got Russ Ruddock in the BMW right behind him. And this battle is going to go on for the next 27 minutes. And this battle was the other way around before pit stops. But Payton able to get the effective pit stop, got out of there just ahead. Now you got to start to wonder if these guys are that close on fuel, did he take enough?
All right, Larry, we're just a little bit over halfway through this 60-minute sprint. Let's take a little break to thank our sponsors. You are watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series season finale from Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And we're back here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series Season 2 finale. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry McLeod. And just a reminder, if you like what you see here this evening, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV if you have not done so already, and click on that notification bell to find out about all the great programming that we have. Of course, you can also find us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All you got to do is search for Apex Racing TV. All right, so Larry, let's jump back over now to the battle for the lead here in TCR with Eric Violette and Brandon Whitworth, and still just about a second separating these two drivers.
Yeah, you just can't get away from these guys, as they're the only ones left who haven't taken their pit stops yet. And my guess is they'll end up stopping at the same time and keeping the drama going, just nose to tail. And we'll see. We'll see if Brandon Whitworth has anything for Eric Violette in the next 23.5 minutes. Try and take over this race here at the end. Violette not going to make it easy on him.
No, certainly not. And of course, we'll have to see if either one of these two drivers decide to take new front tires. I would be very hesitant to think that they will. As the race has gone on, Larry, if you've been watching, the skies seem to be getting even a little bit more overcast. I don't know if that's necessarily affecting track temperature there or not, but it may very well be. And here we go. We're flashing it up on the screen right now, and taking a look at that ambient air temperature is 27 degrees Celsius at 29 Celsius on the track, and I believe that is down maybe 1 or 2 degrees in both. So from when we started, so probably not much of a difference there as we watch both of our drivers starting to head down into 10A, and we're getting really towards the end of the pit window here in TCR. We estimated that we could probably do about
how far
27.
towards the end, do you say?
Well,
how about
we
they're coming
thought
in?
27 laps, Larry, would be about the max that they could do, and they complete 26, and both of our drivers come down at the same time. And we'll see here now if Brandon Whitworth can leapfrog our leader, Eric Violette.
So does he take front tires, which is typically the norm? Do they both take any tires? I don't see any cars moving, so it might be fuel only for this one. It's just going to be a splash and go, 22 minutes to the checker. And we'll find out, does Whitworth have anything for Violette?
And there we go. And Eric Violette, first driver to hit the throttle and head on out here from the pit lane at Road Atlanta. It looks like he's going to hold on to his lead over Brandon Whitworth.
Almost perfect simultaneous pit stops there. They came together, stopped at the same time, and started at the same time. And here they go right back out where they started from. So Violette with the advantage, about a second or so ahead of Whitworth. Neither one taking any tires. So now it's a matter of who's saving enough tires, as the slow runners, Wolfgang Robach, it's a little bit slow coming out of the S's. I love the red wheels on that car, actually. Big fan.
Yeah, they really do. They really do stick out here as our leaders in TCR go on past that number 30 machine of Merlbach, who's now up into 8th position. having made up 3 positions here since the start of the race.
Don't think we've seen much of him so far this season, so welcome to the series, and hopefully he's set up for next season as well. So as we flash back up to the battle here of Payton and Ruddock, his battle for the 3rd step of the podium. About a 1-second advantage right now for David Payton, as he's just trying to pull away a little bit. It's traditional, those BMWs have got the legs, and in these long back straight, you kind of watch, it's a 1.2, 1.15 second gap between Payton to Ruddock. A little bit of draft for Ruddock. He should be able to bring that down, but he's got to work pretty hard and hopefully have some tires left come the end of this race to try and take over that 3rd spot. But right now he's chasing the back of that Porsche Cayman of David Payton. Got it. That chicane at the bottom of that hill is so difficult, so critical to brake in exactly the right spot. You're almost throwing the car across that dirt to make the car work correctly.
Exactly, because if you turn in just a little bit early, you're going to be fighting that car all the way through turn 10B and just really battling to keep it off the curbing, which is really the teeth-rattling curbing on the exit of turn B as you make the way up the hill, up towards the Fox Factory Bridge. As we see here, as that Cayman tossing all over the curbing at the apex of turn 3. And that is something that you can see that Cayman can do and get settled pretty quickly after the big jump there.
This is one of those tracks. You know, some tracks, there's certain curbs you can hit, some you can't. This track, it's like you want to hit every single curb because it matters on time. You know, we were just talking about the 10A, 10B. You've got to pretty much center the car across the dirt on your apex of 10A so that you can get a good early start to 10B and not wash out coming out. And then the same thing going up the hill across that curbing at that turn 3, the famous turn 3. You got to nail that curb, otherwise you're just slow. To this track, it's one of those places that just entices you to really abuse the car up and over those, and potentially, you know, in iRacing terms, potentially get a course cut at both those locations, but at turn 3, potentially spin the car out and high centering the curb on the car. Yeah,
and you can see what happens here as our leader Robert Hartley comes out of turn 2 into turn 3. You know, if you hit the curbing wrong on driver's left going into turn 2, it'll toss the car around and you'll have problems making turn 3. You know, when you get over that apex and you know you've hit it right, the other place that you really want to stay off the curbs, Larry, is actually when you come down through the S's, you set up for that left-hand turn-in for turn 5. If you even kiss the curbing on the right-hand side, it will just suck you in. And I've seen so many cars have issues at turn 5 where they will either loop or maybe even end up hopping wide over the exit curbing and into the wall. And it's all because they just touch that curb just a little bit.
On the entrance, right.
Yeah.
And that's great. You don't even always think about that, but it's that setup curve that could cost you there. You do want to take a little bit of the apex, and everybody takes everything on the exit. But yeah, that you don't always think about how it's the approach curb sometimes that'll even cost you. And this is one of those tracks, because it is a critical corner going onto that short straightaway down there. You want to hit it just right, but you said a couple extra inches of entry and try to cheat it over a little bit. Next thing you know, you're going to find yourself spinning off to the outside.
All right, as we're on board right now with our second place runner, Randall McGrew, and has not made any headway on our leader, Robert Hartley. Gap still about 15 seconds between those two drivers, as they are, McGrew now starting to come up on our leaders in TCR.
And that always makes it interesting. You know, you're not necessarily the leader in your class, but you don't want to lose any ground, but yet you're coming up on the slower class, who's a battle of 1-2 relatively close. You don't want to mess up their battle while losing too much of your own. So it's a pretty delicate process there if you're Randall McGrew trying to get around the leaders in TCR.
All right, let's jump back over to the battle right now for that last step on the podium. David Payton and Russ Ruddock. Payton in his Porsche Cayman, the D2D e-racing machine, and then Russ Ruddock in the green and black BMW M4. And still just a couple car lengths separating those two drivers. Just about 3/4 of a second there as they come now down into the heavily cambered turn 6, setting up, going through that little short chute and setting up for probably the most critical corner here at Michelin Raceway, and that is turn 7, bringing you onto that incredibly
It totally
long back
is
straight.
absolutely the most critical. Another one of those where if you hit the apex curbing wrong, you could potentially center the car a little bit high on it. You get to the exit, and you want to use that exit curbing, that apron they've given you, but if you get to the dirt, suddenly you lost your momentum down this super long back straight here at Road Atlanta. So very, very much the most critical corner on the track. Looking at the gap here between Peyton and Ruddock, this is the closest that Ruddock's been since they came out of the pits. He was as far back as like about 1.5. He's down to about 0.4, just behind David Peyton.
Yeah,
he's on the rhythm.
And I believe he's actually closed up even another tenth or so, tenths to 2/10 this last lap. Let's take a look there. 127.882 to Ruddock's 127.572.
And Peyton misses the apex of one. Very critical corner here at Road Atlanta, giving Ruddock another chance to pull up just a little bit. They look like they're coming up to Wolfgang. I think that's going to be Wolfgang Robach. I haven't thought of him, yeah. And so these guys are going to try and get their way around him shortly. Wolfgang's going to have himself a front row center seat here for what's right now the best battle on the track. And that they are using all of that exit curbing at 5 down this short straight to 6. Ruddock has really been on a rhythm the last couple of laps.
And he seems to do, and as you said, the BMW definitely has some legs over the Cayman. He definitely makes up a lot of ground right past that very last little right-hand bend on what is not exactly a straightaway here at Road Atlanta. But he seems to always make it up and gets right up to the back of the Cayman under braking. We'll have to see as they both barrel down towards turn 10, and it looks like there we've got
Andre Saunders, wasn't that?
Saunders giving him a lot of room. So that wasn't Merlbach.
I saw the black car, and you're right. Andre Saunders there, the TCR, doing the nice thing as well, letting these guys on through, sort of like letting them play through in a round of golf.
All right, so we're just a little bit over 3/4 of the way through the 60-minute race with just about 47 minutes in the books, 32 laps complete. I guess, Larry, if we do the math, and you know how good I am with math, we're probably looking at around 41 laps, thereabouts, 42 laps.
Oh, and the leader, Robert Hartley, in a spin. Wonder if there's any damage on that car.
Yeah, it goes around.
That's coming up for 7.
Yeah, it goes around turn 7. Let's see, hopefully we can get a replay of that. Now, he's still got a pretty good advantage over our second-place runner.
Let's check the replay here as he comes down through 6. Gets a little wide. Yep, there's that entrance curbing on the driver's left, and it just causes a big spin there. Able to keep it off of the concrete barriers, but lost some momentum. Lucky for him, he came into this lap double-digit seconds advantage over McGrew. So, but that certainly shakes you up a little bit, makes you think about the next 12, 13 minutes and waiting for that clock to tick down.
Yeah, it certainly does. You know, we saw where he was, dancing on the edge very early on in the race. And that point as well, where perhaps he did not have to go as far to the margin as he did. Just drops a wheel on entry there into turn 7 and loops the car, but still has looks to be about a still about a 12-second advantage, I believe, over McGrew. So didn't lose a lot of time to the Cayman of McGrew.
Interesting here as we're watching the battle between Eric Violette and Brandon Whitworth, the teammates there leading in first and second in TCR. Between them is a very fast Wolfgang Robach, who's found himself sandwiched between them, and his pace is right now right around the same as these guys, so it's really kind of making it tough to get by him. He certainly has the straightaway speed. At some point, maybe he's giving a good little draft to Brandon Whitworth behind him, but Wolfgang, finding himself right in the middle of this battle here in first and second in TCR. And for your Whitworth, you're hoping to catch a little draft, but you certainly don't want to be held up at all. You don't want to lose sight of Eric Violette here, as there's only going to be about another 6-7 laps to go or so.
Yeah, you certainly don't want Merlbach motoring by here on the back straight, which he's probably going to do, and perhaps lead the two TCR cars down into turns 10A and 10B.
Merlbach took the power. He went on by carefully. He should be clear and out of the way for Violet and Whitworth coming in behind him. He is the faster car, so he should be able to do that. And it looks like he has, leaving the battle now in his wake. Eric Violette and Brandon Whitworth now just, again, back to that 9/10 and closing for Whitworth. This might be that opportunity. If he saved any tires, this is where it's time to use it. As I think that's also what Russ Ruddock's doing. He's using any tires he may have saved for these last 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you can see here once again Ruddock coming out of turn 7 onto the front straight, usually where he makes up a lot of ground on David Payton. Payton seems to stretch it out. That very nimble Cayman coming down through the S's is where things expand out here, and you can see he picks up maybe a half a car length here, half a car length there. But this time by, Ruddock is staying awfully close, and if he gets a good run out of turn 7 onto the back straight, might have the opportunity to at least.
It's all going to be about the apexes here. If you can get a good one at 6 and don't run wide going into 7 like we saw Hartley do. In fact, Ruddock looks like he could even use a little more if he wanted to on that entry. But he's focusing so much on the exit, and this might be the opportunity. This might be what he was looking for.
Yeah, he got a good run there out of 7, Larry. And as they come down the back straight now, we're going to have to see how defensive Payton gets, whether or not Ruddock moves the drivers left. And Payton
stayed defensive,
right in the middle of the track there. Yeah, they're going to come down side by side, and let's see if that Cayman can get on the binders and hold the position as Ruddock now has the position. Yep, they come around, and there we go. As David Payton goes around into the gravel trap, Russ Ruddock taking over the position. They were side by side going through turn 10B. Not a lot of room for that BMW to get past as Payton came down on him, and the Cayman goes around.
That's one of those cases. This is the chicane here. Road Atlanta is famous for this. A lot of drivers defend to the left as they come down the back straight. We're going to see it here on the replay, and that's where he goes. Payton going to the inside. Ruddock takes the outside, which puts you on the inside of the second part of this. And frankly, he's just not quite far enough ahead. It's so close. Typically, the driver on the inside gets that advantage, but if you're not up there, and for David Payton, probably thought he had the corner clear, apparently didn't, and then there's contact. So Payton drops back. Doesn't lose a position, but definitely lose a lot of track position.
Yeah, loses a lot of position or a lot of ground on track there. As we jump back over to the battle for the lead in TCR with now under 10 minutes remaining here, and it is probably as close as it has ever been now. Whitworth now within half a second of our leader as the two D2D e-racing machines come down to the scene of the crime where we just were a moment ago over at turns 10A and 10B, and under braking the Whitworth car closes things down.
I suspect that Whitworth has been saving tires, and as I talked about, trying not to get so close to wear them out. Now look at that gap. He's 4/10, 5/10, where he had been hovering at 9 the whole race. He's now trying to get closer. Here we are, 8 minutes to go. He knows this is go time. Inside of 5 laps, this is when he needs to be making his move, and if it works for him, hats off to you to try and to take this kind of a strategy, knowing that Violet's got pace and has no one in front of him to worry about his tires wearing out. For Whitworth, hopefully he's got a little bit left in the a few pennies left in the penny jar here to be able to make a move in the closing stages of this race.
Oh, and both drivers getting, I don't want to say sloppy, but definitely running a little bit wide there. Coming out of turn 5 is our leader, Eric Violet, drops a wheel. And that allows Whitworth to close things down just a little bit more as they come into turn 7. And we've had the stewards take a look at the incident between David Payton and Russ Ruddock, and they've decided to take no action.
It's a good call because Ruddock was on driver's right, was on the inside, had his nose past the rear wheel of David Payton. Typically, that's where that judgment call is. If you can get up inside, you're well past that rear wheel, almost to the door, they're going to give the advantage to the driver on the inside. And unfortunately, there's contact. Don't want to see it end that way from Payton. Not ended, but the battle ended. And but it's probably the fair call there. So that right now leaves Russ Ruddock sitting provisionally on a podium. So he's got to go out there and run about another 8 minutes to hang on to that. And for Payton, still running just fine. He's got about an 8-second clear of the next runner, Jeff Jacobs. So now we get to turn our attention to this battle. And I wonder who it's with as I see Violet right across the bumper of that number 89, Brandon Whitworth, from the nose of his car, chasing him down. Now it's a battle of who has tires left 54 minutes into this race.
All right, and you can see there is as our leader in TCR, Eric Violet, follows that curving all the way around the track using every last inch of the pavement and maybe a little bit more as they come up the hill, use all that extra runoff there, and make their way through. And Larry, that last time by coming out of 10A, Brandon Whitworth making up a ton of ground, drafting right up to the back, as we saw there, of the Violet machine. And once again, only about a half a car length off under braking going into turn 7. Looks like he might have to check up just a little bit coming out of 7. Might not give him the jump that he wants onto the back straight, but again, as long as this track is, he should be able to draft right back up, and then it's just a question, and we've seen it in TCR, you know, staying nose to tail is easy here. Actually getting a pass done very, very difficult.
It's absolutely difficult. The way he's going to have to do it is to try and get alongside, maybe like what we just saw between Russ Ruddock and David Payton. Get alongside, force an awkward line for Eric Violet. You don't even, if you're Whitworth, you don't need to actually make the pass in 10, but if you can force Eric Violet to take a defensive line, and then you can get a much better run down the hill towards 12 and then back up here towards 1. That might be a strategy he can employ. He's just losing the number of opportunities to try and execute that pass as we're down inside of 5 minutes. But up at this end of the track, here at the S's, really nothing you can do. It's more or less single file through this part. As he, now all you can do is think about staying close enough to try and get that run, as I mentioned, to try and force Violet into some sort of defensive line. Not easy, as Violet, as we've talked about, already comes in with 5 wins out of 7 races. Clearly has the pace. We talked to him earlier, obviously at the start of the show as well. His goal here was to just take no tires, save some, and try to be available in the end. And here we go for Whitworth, the teammate, probably similar. He just wants to try and stick his nose in somewhere and not let his teammate take another victory. Making a go at it, though. He's certainly racy here in the last couple of minutes.
And still about 2.5 car lengths back as they round the last little bend and come down the hill under braking. Now we've seen where Whitworth maybe a little bit later on the brakes than his teammate coming through here, so that he's in a good position as they come onto the front straight. And now if he can stay right underneath them, possibly make the run down in the 1. But yeah, again, really here you need to have those traditional braking corners, passing corners like a 10A, 10B, rather than a high-speed corner like 10A, or rather than like turn 1, in order to affect the pass in the TCR cars. And we saw that a couple weeks ago at Watkins Glen. Also, the high-speed corners just make it very difficult to pass.
Yeah, as you were talking about the later braking and the better braking there for Whitworth, he executed it exactly on cue. You could see him just close up and get a great run coming off of that chicane, but not good enough to make the pass going up into 1. And like you said, 1's just it's an almost impossible place to pass because it's just high speed. It's basically just tap of the brake and flick the car across the apex. He's going to have to do something in forcing really awkward lines or really getting his nose inside coming down to 10A if he wants to make the pass here in the next 2.5 minutes. And that 2.5 minutes, probably only 2 laps for these guys.
Yeah, as we said, we thought it was going to be 41, 42 laps, and that's apparently what it's going to be, as we have now just a little bit over 2 minutes remaining here at Road Atlanta. We check back in with our leader, Robert Hartley. He's kept the nose clean after that little spin over by turn 7 about 10 laps ago.
Well, the key thing is we just jumped over to Hartley is that he is the leader, so he dictates when the race is over. And he just had come across start finish with just about 2 minutes to go. That means there should be 2 full laps, as his lap times are just sub 130. So he'll need about 2 full laps to get around. So he'll get the white next time by. And for that battle in TCR, they should also do the same. They should be this lap plus 1 more, or it's all finished.
And here they come up through turn 1. And, you know, as I've been watching this, Larry, and we're going to have to see what Whitworth can do, I think he really, especially now as the laps are definitely winding down, he needs to be a little bit closer to the tail of Violet going into turn number 7. You know, he's coming through 7, still about a car length and a half off, and that's dictating where he's finishing up at the end.
He's getting a great run here. You can see the point. I can see it as he turned in from the end of the S's that he was going to get a great run, and he has. He's right up on. We see 2/10 going in here to turn 6. This is as close as he's been coming into here. He needs to get, like you said, the strong run up to 7 to have a shot going into 10A. Just about another couple tenths of a mile up the road. And they've got right behind them, I want to say that was Russ Ruddock, who wants to probably get by this pack, but knowing the situation, Russ might just wait a little bit. Oh, wait a second. Hartley might be out of fuel.
Oh, my gosh. Our leader may be out of fuel. You got it, Larry, as he's coming down now, and he's on the pit lane. He's going to get a splash of gas to finish this up, but that's going to move Randall McGrew now into the lead in the number 67 Porsche Cayman as he now makes his way through the S's. He is our new leader, and Hartley had about a 15-second advantage over McGrew. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold that off here.
He's back. Hartley is going again. McGrew, if he's got enough fuel, could, if he can go another lap around this place, could end up being the victor, as there's your 1 hour mark just went by. We are on final lap, and for Hartley, that is heartbreaking. Tell me. And as we got to keep an eye on that. Now that it's McGrew, then Hartley, then Ruddock. Is anybody else going to run out of fuel in the last lap? But these two are all gassed up. This is Whitworth trying to stay now. Here they come off of 5, going down to 6. Whitworth, does he even bother to stick his nose in now, or is he just going to wait? Russ Ruddock's awesome. He's just going to sit back there and get a bird's eye view of this battle here. Whitworth needs the run off of 7, needs it badly.
And there he is. He's all over the back of the violet car as they come out of turn 7.
He's practically pushing him through 7. He was so close. Did not want to lose out an opportunity to get on the gas early. Now he may just have to push him.
All right, we go and check now with our leader, Randall McGrew. He takes the checkered flag. Randall McGrew on the very last lap inherits the lead from Robert Hartley, and
we're going to have a side-by-side here at TCR.
Oh, with the big drift there as Whitworth, for the moment, he takes the lead over from Eric Violet. Do they come through side by side?
He lost his momentum, though.
Bridge?
He lost all that momentum as they come down the hill, and it's Violet just ahead of Whitworth. Whitworth had it for just the briefest of moments and got a little bit sideways, lost all the momentum, and gave it back. Eric Violet takes the victory, and Russ Ruddock just happened to be, as he's going to come in third, right behind those two. Randall McGrew, though, taking the victory in GT4 tonight. I wonder at what point he realized that there was no longer Robert Hartley in front of him. McGrew, consistent, solid the whole night long, comes away with a victory.
All right, so if we go down and run through the order here, Randall McGrew taking the win. Robert Hartley with the heartbreak there on the last lap. He will finish in second. Russ Ruddock will finish in third in his BMW GT4, or probably BMW M4. David Payton in the number 64 Porsche Cayman will finish in fourth. Jeff Jacobs, Wolfgang Merlbach will finish in sixth. Tony Kernan finishes in seventh, after losing 5 positions, and then Chris Thorman, Bobby Childs, and that rounds out GT4. And if we take a look at TCR, Eric Violet will take the win. Brandon Whitworth second. Andre Saunders will finish third, and Scott Brooks will finish fourth. All right, so Larry, as our drivers, there we go. Eric Violet completes his victory lap along with Randall McGrew. Let's take one final break, and we'll then come back and interview our winners. You are watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, the season finale here from Road Atlanta, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And we're back here at Road Atlanta for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series season finale. Just watched two amazing finishes, both in GT4 and TCR. And Larry, let's bring in first our overall winner, the number 67 Genesis Sim Sport Porsche Cayman driver, Randall McGrew.
Randall McGrew has joined us here tonight. Randall, as that race winds down, you're thinking, hey, I've got a podium. This is great. At what point did you realize that your chief rival was in the pits getting fuel and that win was going to be yours?
Well, to be honest with you, I kind of called it pretty early on my stream. He pit pretty early, so I know that McLaren's pretty thirsty.
Good call to know that was coming because, yeah, we didn't quite realize what's happening. All of a sudden, we see him down pit lane, and you're there just happy as can be with just enough fuel to finish your race. How did that race go for you in general? You know, you started out kind of in the pack at a couple of battles, and as the race unfolded, you seemed to be by yourself for quite a while, and, you know, as the pit stops went through.
Honestly, it felt more like a 60-minute time trial than a race. Tony and Robert pretty much left me in the dust. And I don't know what happened behind me. I saw Chris and somebody else had an incident. But, yeah, I was in a bubble all night, felt like.
Yeah, one of those nights where you just kind of get to go and cruise Road Atlanta, you know, for 42 times around there and just kind of see what happens. But for you, get you a victory and, you know, getting probably in the final point standings, probably going to help you out quite a bit. I don't have the math done on that one yet. But did you see this coming your way tonight? What was your hope, and how much did that exceed by taking the victory?
Well, I was hoping for a podium, and I know it's just technicality, but if you try to take this away from me, I'm going to sock you right in the nose.
Absolutely not. No taking this one away for you. Getting the win here at Road Atlanta, Randall. That's an incredible win for you tonight. Anybody you want to thank for this victory?
I guess I really need to thank Tony for being too fast for his connection. He seemed like he had Robert's number, and race really should have been his.
Yeah, unfortunate for Tony. Yeah, that would stink the way he got disconnected tonight. But you know, one man's trouble is another one's opportunity, and tonight that opportunity was all yours to take that victory. So congratulations, Randall, and you can go and celebrate tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and there you go. That was Randall McGrew, driver of the number 67 Genesis Sim Sport Porsche Cayman. And Larry, you know, as you were talking to him, I was just taking a look to see where we were in the points battle here. Coming into this evening, Randall was sitting back in 8th with 143 points. Russ Ruddick with 146. Chris Thorman with 149. And tonight, Randall McGrew picks up 35 points for the win. He should also, I believe, pick up a bonus point for leading a lap. And then Russ Ruddick, finishing 3rd tonight, picks up 30 points. So that should at least move McGrew around Ruddick.
I'm seeing McGrew already updated. McGrew got 38 total tonight. He is ahead of Ruddick. McGrew up to 6th place in the overall standing. So great finish for Randall there.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and he would have also jumped past Thorman, who was did not have the best evening here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. So let's jump over now to TCR, and let's bring in Larry. Let's bring in Brandon Whitworth first here. Who actually, you know what? Before we do that, why don't we bring in? We've got Russ Ruddick here.
Sure.
Why don't we bring in Russ? Russ finishing 3rd tonight in GT4.
We're here with Russ Ruddick. Russ, who finished 3rd tonight in the GT4 field. Russ, one of the most exciting battles between you and David Payton tonight. Walk me through a little bit of how the race was going, and then through that turn 10 exchange.
Yeah, it was going great. The last update really helped the BMW finally. It was fun to be able to actually race somebody for a change instead of running around in the back. But yeah, it seemed like I could get Peyton and them up in 10A, B, you know, up around turn 1, 2 through there. But it seemed like they were running away from me coming out of onto the back straight. every time. So I just kept trying to work out, a 10th here, 10th there till I get close enough. And David ran the perfect defense. He took the inside away from me. So I thought I had to go around the outside. I had a run on him. So I just went around the outside best I could, kept it really tight. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the replay yet to see what happened, but
yeah, it was tight. It was tight. You were alongside, and at the end, the stewards did take a look at it and ruled that nothing to be issued there. It was fair. Unfortunate for the contact, but it was fair enough as you were right alongside there. So, but you end up on the podium for you, and as you mentioned, maybe a little bit of help from finally having the BMW working the way that it's supposed to. But all in all, had to feel overall pretty good for you tonight, huh?
Yeah, it feels great. It's been a long time since I've been on the podium in this league. It's a tough bunch of guys to run against.
Absolutely. So anybody want to thank for this podium finish here tonight?
Yeah, just everybody. I mean, Apex and you guys and the league and Kevin and Jeff and all those guys that helped me, with practice and setups and stuff.
Well, congratulations on that one for you, Russ. I'm looking at the final points. You might have ended up at about that 7th spot, which is a tough deal, tough way in this field. It's very tough competition. So getting anything in the top 10 in the final points is certainly an accomplishment. And for you, finishing the top 10 of the points, 3rd here in this race, congratulations on the way to wrap up this season for you.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank
there
you,
you
Russ.
go. That was Russ Ruddock, driver of the number 95 Flying Tortoise Motorsports BMW M4. Larry, let's jump over to our TCR class. We're going to bring in Brandon Whitworth, driver of the number 42 D2D E-Racing machine, finishing 2nd tonight.
So we're here with Brandon Whitworth. Brandon, who finished 2nd in the TCR, ran 2nd that just about the whole race. And for a moment there, we thought maybe, just maybe, you're going to take that victory. Walk me through a little bit of your race there, Brandon, and then through that finish.
Well, Eric and I basically were dealing with the same problem as we got to conserve tires. So I was trying to catch him, but not use up my tires, and he was trying to stay in front of me and not use up his tires. so it all came down to the end. And I thought I was going to get him, but I got a little sideways down there in the corner, and then I got a little bit off on the right-hand side, and it bounced the car around. I couldn't get any traction.
Yeah, for a second there, it looked like maybe you saved just enough front tires, but maybe not enough rear tires as the backs had kind of stepped around on you. But as that race unfolded, were you trying to manage a particular gap amount?
I wasn't. I was constantly trying to find a brake setting that I like, really, because I wasn't happy with the brake settings on the car. It took me a while to get comfortable. But after that, it was, it's a matter of not trying to make time, but not, use up the tires too much. So I had to sort of stay close.
Yeah, and that you did as the laps wound down. We could see you going from 9/10 to 6/10 to 4/10, and finally getting that run. In fact, almost like you were pushing Eric off of turn 7 on that last lap. Have you taken that outside line, through there and made it work at 10? Is that something you've been able to go side by side in there before, and this time it didn't, or what was the thought there going into 10?
Well, I mean, the thought was I wanted to win. So I was going to do whatever I could to do that. But I think it would have been okay if I hadn't gone off on the right side of the track. And there's like a dip in that curbing, bounce the car around. But
great finish. Great finish, though. As always here at TCR, you and your teammate Eric putting on a heck of a show. So great way to wind up the season here. 2nd spot on the podium. Anybody you want to thank for tonight's podium finish?
Yeah, I got to thank Chris Thorman, Proforma Elite Texas Graphics for sponsoring the team. It's always a big help. And all my teammates for helping us. And of course, my family for even letting me do this. So
very important people,
Yep.
Definitely worth naming there. So congratulations for the podium finish tonight, Brandon. And we'll probably see you probably next week.
Yep. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and there was Brandon Whitworth finishing 2nd tonight in the D2D E-Racing machine. Let's go now, Larry, over to our winner this evening with 6 wins in 8 rounds, our series champion, Eric Violet.
Here with Eric Violet, who basically led this thing from green to checker to take the championship. Eric, we talked to you on the onset about what your strategy was. Did the strategy play out like you expected?
Not like I expected, actually. I was trying to maintain that gap there about second half to really just save the tires. I figured it might come down to something close, but I figured, I'll just keep him back there, and he'll burn up tires, and even if it comes down to last lap, I'll still be like a second and a half. And he just kind of ate me up there. I think going into the last couple laps, he might have just saved a little more tire, but I wanted to end of the season with a statement. I wanted to lead it, flag to flag. I didn't quite lead it flag to flag. He did actually get in front of me there at the chicane, but yeah, that was nuts. I was going to try to fight him going in there, and he got about 3/4 ahead. It was just too much to really do it. I figured we might spin, so I figured my only option is do the cross under, or cross under him, do the crossover, and I think he bobbled a little bit, and luckily I was able to get him going up the hill.
Yeah, it was super exciting to watch as you guys came down there side by side and put on yet another great show of the TCR racing. But for you, this, as Greg mentioned here, bringing you in, 6 wins and 8 races to take the overall first place in this class. What's that mean to you to do this among this tough group of competitors, a lot of them teammates?
Yeah, it actually means a lot. I mean, I'm putting a lot into this. It's a great, it's great to do this. Brandon and Andrew used to just kind of give it to me, I think last season, season before, and I just steadily been working, and just getting faster and faster, and it just feels good to be able to be this dominant.
Yeah, not easy. This is a tough class, and you guys are great competitors, and we know that you share setups and bring people in. I'm looking forward to the next season to see you guys, see how far you can build this class, and bring in some more competition. So, congratulations for that. And Eric, I think you can probably go off and crack a little champagne and celebrate.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Eric. Congratulations
All right.
again.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, there you go. Congratulations, Eric. There is Eric Violet, driver of the number 89 D2D E-Racing Porsche Audi RS3. Again, congratulations to him for taking home the Series 2 championship. All right, Larry, so with wrapping things up for the season here, let's take a look at some of our upcoming events here on the Ricmotech Challenge here. We've got next week, June 21st, starting at 8 p.m. The World Challenge finishes up its season at the Autodrome Nacional Monza, heading over to Italy to the basically the fastest track on the planet here. We're going to go over to Monza, and it is going to be the finale for World Challenge. Then in 2 weeks, June 28th, we talked about it before, going to be heading down to Brazil with the Classic Sprint Series. We're going to be starting off their brand new season there. It'll be round 1. Don't want to miss it, June 28th, 8 p.m. And then in 3 weeks, July, actually a little bit more than 3 weeks, I guess about a month from now, July 12th, we're going to be heading, well, we don't know where we're going to be heading yet, Larry. It's a big secret. But the Ricmotech Sports Cars Series will be having its Season 3 opener on July 12th. All right, so want to thank everybody here for this season. Remind everybody that for official results, you can go to extrememotorsports99.com. And, of course, again, if you like what you saw here tonight, give us a thumbs up. Go and click that notification bell and subscribe to Apex Racing TV. For Larry McLeod, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next week.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.